everyone, welcome to the QuesterMage and welcome back to another PlayStation 2 video. In today's video, I want to talk about the LevelHike HDMI adapter. If you follow the videos on this channel, you will know that one of the things that I like are PlayStation 2 games to play on my original PAL PlayStation 2. And I mentioned the PAL region because this video is very much going to be focused on the LevelHike HDMI adapter and how it works on a PAL PlayStation 2. But to get these to display properly on the screen, you're usually going to need an adapter so that you can adapt the signal of your PlayStation 2 to usually work on a HDMI screen. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The LevelHike HDMI adapter on a PAL PlayStation 2, what I like, what I dislike, what I change, and my overall thoughts. So let's start off with what I liked. The first thing I liked about this LevelHike HDMI adapter is it is indeed compatible with a PAL PlayStation 2. So that's a good start right there. If you are a content creator and if you use Elgato capture cards or software, you will also be happy to know capturing with an Elgato HD60 and the LevelHike HDMI adapter is really easy. Plug and play at its finest. No other cables are needed, no component cables, no composite cables. You just need the LevelHike HDMI adapter, the USB power source that actually plugs into your PlayStation 2 straight into the adapter itself, and a HDMI cable. One of the things I've mentioned before on the channel are other adapters need a power supply to go into a wall socket or plug. This one does not. You can power the LevelHike whichever way you like. If you want to power it via a socket, that's fine, but you can indeed just power it directly from your PlayStation 2. One of the things I like the most with this adapter are PlayStation 1 games are compatible to play, which is absolutely fantastic. I love playing PlayStation 1 games as well as PlayStation 2 games. A lot of other adapters, PlayStation 1 games are not compatible. On this one, it is, which is great. The image quality is quite good. I like it a lot. I use this adapter a lot on the channel, so I do want the graphic quality to be good. But in person, when you're not capturing, because sometimes that does change the way things look, it still looks good. I think it looks better in person than it does when you capture the content, because obviously it has to go through compression. The adapter works well whether you connect it to a TV or a monitor. I've done both. Both work absolutely fine. Another thing that I really like about this adapter, it has a physical 4x3 and 16:9 toggle. Now what that does is change the aspect ratio of what's being shown on screen. Majority of the time I'm going to play games in 4x3, but there are times I want to play games in 16:9, and I can do that very simply by just changing the switch from one side to the other. I'm going to get into a scenario on where 16:9 is actually really useful to have on these adapters a little bit later on in this video, but a great toggle to have there. If you want to capture stuff in 4x3, you can do that. If you want to do it 16:9, just change the switch and it just works. Now another good thing is when the console is set to component mode, which this adapter does not support, and I'll get to that in the things that I disliked in a second, it shows a green screen and not a blank screen. Other adapters, when the display output is incorrect, it will just display nothing, not allowing you to see what is wrong or to change those settings. But with this adapter, I do think it is a benefit, even though it is just a green screen. You can actually see what the PlayStation 2 is displaying. It's just displaying incorrectly, but allows you to go through the menus, change it to output at RGB, which is what this adapter outputs as, and you can just continue playing. With other adapters, blank screen, you don't know what it is. That usually results in you have to take out adapter 1, put in adapter 2, change the settings, remove adapter 2, reattach adapter 1, and then go from there. All of that can be eliminated, which is really good. If you've watched some of my other videos on the channel, you will know that Tekken 5 caused an issue with a previous adapter. Tekken 5 itself works, but Tekken 5 isn't just one game. It has several games within it. Some of these games are Tekken 1, 2, and 3. With the other adapter, only Tekken 3 worked. With the LevelHike HDMI adapter, Tekken 5, Tekken 1, Tekken 2, Tekken 3, all the games housed within Tekken 5 work, which is great. I haven't had many issues with compatibility when it comes to games actually working. So those are the things that I wrote down as I was playing games and testing out the LevelHike HDMI adapter, which I've had for quite a long time now, but these are the things that overall stayed with me as things that I like about this adapter. Now, what did I dislike about this adapter? The first thing is something I already mentioned a little bit, which is this adapter is not compatible with the component cable image quality. So it doesn't do component out. It uses RGB mode only. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive into what those two things mean. Simply, component mode is the best graphical quality you can get at the PlayStation 2, at least in my opinion. And RGB mode is lesser quality. So you are going to have to balance whether you want the best quality or good quality and more compatibility. Again, that at the end of the day is up to you. Do bear in mind, if you have this adapter or you get this adapter, if you do connect it to your PlayStation 2 and the image is green, that's because in the main menu, you have your PlayStation 2 set to component mode. You're going to have to change that to RGB. So if you have a game in your PlayStation 2, take that game out, switch on your PlayStation 2, and then when you see the menus, go down into the options menu, change the output to RGB, and then you'll find that green tint goes away and the games will just run. Another thing that I noticed are games compatible with progressive scan do not work on the LevelHike HDMI adapter. It doesn't display anything, it just says no signal to display, so they don't work. The DVDs don't display properly, they display images, but they are all in a green tint. And I noticed that the adapter itself heats up a little bit as you are using it, but not anything scary. Now, the biggest problem I had with this adapter very much has to do with using it with a PAL region PlayStation 2. At this point, I do think it's important to point out that in the PAL region, the PlayStation 2 generally outputted at a 576i resolution, which is different to the NTSC region. Now, what is the problem? Well, in the PAL region, we had two types of PlayStation 2 games. We had games that run at 60Hz and we have games that run at 50Hz. To me, it would seem that the LevelHike HDMI adapter was created to be used on NTSC PlayStation 2s and potentially not tested on PAL region PlayStation 2s. The games that run at 50Hz do not display properly when using the LevelHike adapter on a PAL PlayStation 2. The image is zoomed in beyond the screen limits and you cannot change it. That could potentially be a massive issue for any of you if you don't like the way that this adapter handles games running at 50Hz. If the games have a 60Hz option, it runs absolutely fine and it looks good and everything is great. But majority of the games in the PAL region do indeed run at 50Hz and not 60. And this goes into my next segment, which is what I would change. And this is definitely something that I would change with this adapter. 50Hz games should display properly, full stop. I don't understand why they don't. No games should be overscanned beyond the limits of the screen. Maybe have something like a PAL NTSC toggle physical switch on the adapter itself that we can swap between on the adapters in the future to fix this. So those are the things that I liked and disliked about this adapter. What are my overall thoughts? Well, as I said in the thumbnail, this adapter does work on a PAL PlayStation 2, kind of. The games that run in 60Hz, the adapter is simple to use, the graphics look good, and the ease of use with the Elgato HD60 is definitely a plus for me. I use this adapter for majority of the gameplay you see on this channel for PlayStation 2 games, even though I do have other adapters. There is no weird doubling of the image. I like the plug and play nature of the device and there's no need to buy extra cables that will likely be used only for this device. DVDs don't display properly, like I said, and just show the DVDs running with a green screen. Not great. The physical 4x3 and 16x9 switch should be a standard on every adapter for all retro consoles. I absolutely love it. The ability to pick between the two aspect ratios is really helpful, especially if you are capturing content to create online videos. Now, there are two more ways that I found that this physical 4x3 and 16:9 toggle was a very good idea to include on this adapter. The first one is that there are indeed widescreen or 16:9 games available for the PlayStation 2. So by having this easy to access physical toggle on the adapter itself, it's very easy to just switch between 4x3 and 16:9. Tekken 5 is one of those examples. If you want to play this game in 4x3, you can, but if you want to change the aspect ratio, you can do that in the options. And by having this toggle on the adapter itself, I can just switch the aspect ratio to the aspect ratio I would like, and it just works perfectly fine. But it also makes a massive difference if you have monitors that have different aspect ratios. Majority of the monitors that we see nowadays are 16:9, but you might have screens that display in different aspect ratios, like 4x3, 5x4, or 3x2. When you select the 16:9 option on this adapter, it stretches the screen to completely fill whatever aspect ratioed screen you have, which is great if you have one of these 4x3, 3x2s, or 5x4 screens. It fits the whole screen, which is great. The compatibility with PlayStation 1 games is one of the best features for the LevelHike, and I use it all the time to play PlayStation 1 games via HDMI, and it works really, really well. However, like I was saying, there are big negatives with this adapter. For players in the PAL region, having issues with the majority of games on a PAL PlayStation 2 which run at 50 Hz. The overscan might not be a big issue for some players, but for me, it's very, very noticeable. So this is potentially a big problem if you want this adapter. So overall, when this adapter works, I really, really like it. I use it all the time to capture gameplay. What a shame it has issues with 50 Hz games, in the PAL region at least. You can play the games, they do work, they're just zoomed in. How much this is a problem will depend on if images like this that you're seeing now affect your enjoyment when playing original PlayStation 2 games on an original PlayStation 2. For me, this is an issue, but for you, it might not be. I keep a list to know which games run at 50 Hz, 60 Hz, and which are compatible with progressive scan. I suggest that if you are interested in this adapter, make a similar list of the games that you own, and then check online to see which games run at 50 Hz or 60. This should let you know more or less how many of your games will display correctly. So those are my thoughts on the LevelHike HDMI adapter for the PlayStation 2 in the PAL region. I've been asked by some of you to make this video, and I really hope that you liked watching this video so far, and that most importantly, it is helpful in some way. So what do you think of the LevelHike PlayStation 2 HDMI adapter? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? How would you change it? Let me know down in the comments, and let's have a discussion about it. So that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much again for watching. If you like what I do here, please click that like button down below. Helps out the channel a lot. And if you want to see more, please click that subscribe button, as that is the only way this channel can grow. Now, I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, thanks again.